Good evening. I want to thank you for coming to the City of Jacksonville's regularly scheduled council meeting, 6 o'clock Tuesday, April the 9th, 2024. We do have a quorum, so I will call us to order. And our first item of business will be, our invocation will be given by our city manager, James, and then we'll do the pledges. So if you'll stand with me. Thank you.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Lord, thank you for gathering us in this building this evening. We just ask that your hedge of protection would be on our community, God, especially as these storms move through, on our first responders, God, also on our elected and appointed officials. We just ask your blessing upon our town, God. May you grant us wisdom in all the decisions that our council and our staff make in the service to our citizens and those in our area. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Join us in the pledges, first of the American flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Our first item is a special presentation. That will be a Business of the Month presented by JEDCO President Shane Pace. So, Mr. Pace, if you'd like to come forward.
You,
you bet.
Council members, this month we are going to be recognizing Freedom Fab. They are a new company that came to Jacksonville. I'm going to welcome Eric and Dalton to come up. So over the JEDCO offices, we have a lot of folks who walk in and sit down and say, hey, we want to start a business, we want to do this, we want to come to Jacksonville. And a lot of them come, some of them come to fruition and a lot of them don't. And so these two guys walked in one day and said, hey, we've got an idea. We want to move from Tyler and upsize our business. And we think Jacksonville's a great place to do that. So we worked with them for, I don't know, a month or two. We found a building for them that JEDCO owned. They're leasing that building now. And we're starting to grow their business. How many employees do you guys have at this point?
I think right now we're up to 4.
Up to 4, okay. You're expanding as they keep moving forward. So just want to thank you guys for coming here. And anything you want to say here?
Yeah, we appreciate it.
What are y'all doing? Freedom Fab, yeah, he's going to tell you a little bit about it.
We appreciate Jacksonville. We appreciate the community. We feel like it was a really great choice to come here. We do metal fabrication, welding, fabrication. We build a lot of different things, basically a job shop. We've got customers in agricultural, we've got customers in industrial, we've got customers in food service, we've done some stuff for molten salt. So we've got a pretty diverse group of customers. But we do appreciate the community. We thought it was a really great move. We appreciate everything that you guys have done. We really enjoyed getting to meet a lot of people, get to know a lot of people, so we really appreciate it.
We appreciate you guys being here. Thanks so much.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks.
Great.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
You bet. Appreciate it. Our next item is our police department update presented by Police Chief Joe Williams. Glad to hear from the chief tonight. Oh yeah, this television does not work, so there's some printed packets, I think, in the back.
Chief, here's the clicker. You want me to do it?
Yeah, well, I can't tell.
Oh, thank you. I'm not used to that work.
Yeah, that's right.
He's the chief clicker tonight, too.
So, Mayor and Council, I want to give you an update on last Monday night, on April 1st, we had a homicide, which is, in Jacksonville, we have, it averages about 1 murder a year. So this it's not abnormal, but I think because of the ages of the victims, the offenders, it's gotten a lot of commentary throughout town. And so I'd like to give the community a short briefing and things that I can speak to publicly about this event, and then kind of follow up that with some data for you. So last Monday at about 10:22, we got a call, 911 call, multiple 911 calls of 2 people being shot in the parking lot of Christus Mother Francis Health and Fitness Center. That time of day, we had 3 patrol officers on duty. They all responded there, of course, rendered first aid, CPR to some of the victims that were on the ground until the paramedics got there. It was a very, I want to say there was a lot of people at the gym, so it was quite the chaotic scene. They did an excellent job of maintaining the integrity of the crime scene until others got there, helped the fire department render aid to the victims. Once they were transported, set up a crime scene and called in the cavalry. Once I got there, everybody else, of course, was there. Our detectives were there. Started kind of putting it all together. And several hours prior to the shooting, there was an altercation inside the gym between 4 juveniles, where there was a little fist fight, broke apart. Our 2 victims remained at the gym working out with their friends. The other 2 had left, came back to the facility with additional friends in those cars. The jawjacking started back again. It ended up back in the parking lot, should have been what they thought would be another fist fight. And somebody brought a shotgun to the event. Our victims were able to get the shotgun away from the suspects. Then somebody else pulled out a handgun and fired multiple rounds, striking the 2 victims. One was 17 years old. He was shot multiple times, went to Tyler eventually and will recover. The 15-year-old, though, was killed on the scene. We cleared the crime scene about 4 o'clock in the morning, and then our patrol officers and detectives continued to work, and by the time I got to the office at 8 o'clock, we had located the 2 suspect vehicles that fled the scene, some witnesses, and the 15-year-old shooter had walked into the police department to turn himself in. So I don't know yet, the decision has not been made whether this juvenile will be tried as an adult. That's a prosecutorial decision. But we have worked with the Texas Rangers, the Sheriff's Office, have a very good case. There's no threat to the community. There will be additional arrests made. All that being said, we monitor social media just like everybody else does, and for some reason or another, this case has brought on the sense of crime is running rampant in Jacksonville, et cetera, and that's not true. And I want to dispel some of those myths tonight. This seemed like a good opportunity to do it. Once a month, as y'all are aware, we publish the monthly report based on our statistical data that our software generates every time that we go on a call for service, take a report, whatever the case may be. And I'd like to kind of just go step by step through that 4-page document that we produce every month. It's a whole lot of numbers. And once you understand what the numbers represent, anyone can pick it up and look at it and have a sense of how our crime in our community compares to other communities. So it's very quickly, actually. So on the first page is what we call the UCR, Uniform Crime Report Part 1 Crimes. This was developed back in the 1930s by the FBI, and it is so that crime data from one community, regardless of population, can be compared per capita to other communities throughout the United States. I think right now there's over 13,000 police agencies that submit to the UCR every month. Our software automatically populates it to DPS every month, and then DPS pushes it to the FBI on an annual basis. Once a year, the FBI puts out crime in the United States statistical data, and our numbers are always there. So on this first page, the UCR Part 1 looks at 7 different crime types: murder, rape, robbery, assaults, burglary, theft, and motor vehicle theft. And last month, under the monthly totals, you can see that we had 64 Part 1 crimes in the city of Jacksonville. And if you move over a little bit, you can see year to date. So we do everything on a calendar year reporting basis. So thus far, we've had 145 Part 1 crimes at the end of March in 2024. As compared to in 2023, we had 177. So as we speak right now, there's been a reduction by 18% in Part 1 crimes. When you're comparing Jacksonville to other communities, the number to look at is the per 1,000 capita. So for at the end of March, we were at 10.22. So when you see things in the Dallas Morning News or USA Today or whatever periodical you look at, that's how you will compare our town to other towns. So the lower that number, the better. On the second page, Traffic accidents correlate directly to the amount of traffic enforcement, not only by Jacksonville police officers, but also the Highway Patrol plays a huge part of that. And statewide, statistically, traffic accidents have been increasing over the last couple of years because a third of the DPS troopers are on the border. So they're always transferring back and forth. So we don't have the same area impact of traffic enforcement, therefore accidents will always go up. So far this year, we're up about 10% on our traffic accidents. We track them every month. Thus far, we hadn't had any fatalities, but each year we average 2 to 3 of those annually. Patrol and traffic division is the most visible portion of the police department. Last month we answered almost 2,400 calls for service, 320 citations, and took 141 offense reports. An offense report is any time an officer goes out on a Part 1 crime, typically a Part 1 crime, and takes a report, and then it goes to a detective for follow-up. We also track our response times for emergency calls and non-emergency calls. The goal always, in my opinion, my professional opinion, should be for emergencies less than 4 minutes, for non-emergency calls less than 8. We're getting closer and closer, but we're still not there yet. Over the year, we're just under 6 minutes on emergency calls and under 8 for non-emergency calls. But it is trending down from this time last year. Our communications divisions are 911 telecommunicators. Answered 388 911 calls that directly related to a call for service. In reality, they answer about 2,000 to 3,000 911 calls a month. And you can see the breakdown there for police, fire, and EMS. On the next page is our criminal investigation division. These are the detectives. Right now we have 6 assigned to CID, including the supervisor. That number will trend down, probably 1 here relatively soon. But they took in 54 cases from patrol that they went out and initiated the call for service incident report. The sergeant assigned it to a detective, 54 of those. But then the number to track there is how many cases we're actually filing with the prosecutors. And it looks like 77 cases last month. That's a lot for a small shop like that. The next column is arrest data. DWIs trend up and down depending on weather, and the warmer it gets, the more DWIs we have, or significant holidays. Almost 200 arrests last month, and we're clearing out a whole lot of city warrants here lately. Police personnel, we're fully staffed right now. Our training hours, 1,821 hours in a month sounds like a whole bunch. That was 2 guys graduating an academy. That's 800 hours each, so that's what the majority of that was. And there's a special note on here where it says volunteer hours and volunteer security checks. That's our citizens on patrol. They did 73 hours of patrolling. Now, that's just one person, so sometimes you have 4 in those cars. It looks kind of like a clown car going down the street sometimes, but they enjoy it, so we're more than happy to have them. But 73 hours of 2 vehicles operating, it's almost a half of a full-time employee. Since we started that program, we've lost track of how many felony arrests that they are directly attributed to from them seeing it and reporting it to us, but it's over 100. So, proud of them for continuing to do it. And the last page, probably ought to be the front page.
Your favorite.
Probably ought to be the front page, Mayor.
Yes, yes, sir.
Code enforcement, animal control, animal services. So code enforcement, we're going to redo this portion of it. It's kind of hard to understand. So the top half of it is how many proactive inspections the code enforcement officers did. So where it says trash, they instituted 33 new trash cases over the month. Illegal signs, 23. Now when it says 23, that's 23 separate incidents of illegal signs. Now, each one of those may have had 10 different signs. So we could be talking hundreds of things that they inspected and saw a violation and left notice. Now, the bottom half where it talks about resolved is where they took that first investigation and they ran it all the way to the end and concluded it and closed out the case. And those should hopefully, in the perfect world, kind of mirror one another. As the warmer months get going, the more trash will, or the high grass and weeds and trash stuff we'll see. We talked about some success cases with the tire store and some of the homeless camps that we're cleaning up right now. We're making some good progress. And lastly, on animal services below, took in some dogs and cats. As many dogs and cats as we take in, the goal is always to get the same amount of number out as possible, and we're getting good at that. Our volunteer hours have trickled down a lot. That's I think part to do with the economy, but our community service hours, that's always a year behind. So when we ramp up traffic enforcement, when people can't afford to pay their tickets or whatever, they come in and ask for community service. So about a year behind all that, we'll start getting a whole lot of community service in there. So that's the explanation of all the data. I can look at it within 3 or 4 minutes and know how we're trucking along. But I know it's difficult for y'all and for the community members as well. So hopefully that helps. Be happy to take any questions. I can't really go into much more on the homicide case. This was approved by our detectives, and I'm not going to deviate from it. So.
Overall, the crime rates are down, what percentage point? 6, 9?
For this
past quarter.
For this quarter,
January
we're
to
down
March.
18% compared to where we were last year.
So, I mean, that when you gave us this presentation Thursday, that's what I wanted you to say to our public. That overall, I mean, I don't sense a lot of the things that I see on social media. I don't sense it. I know the numbers because I sit here behind a computer with access to some of them. But just, I just don't want our community freaking out over one incident, and a lot of that happened in my social media world. And I just wanted to hear you say that publicly to our citizens.
There's true crime data that is statistical based. There's the perception of crime, and those two are two different things, and criminologists study those all the time. Part of my primary function is to decrease the fear of crime in our community, and we do that not just by law enforcement crime prevention efforts, but also our community engagement, stuff like that. So part of this presentation is to reduce that fear.
Joe, can you kind of elaborate a little bit? You mentioned the 1,000 per capita column is one that you can look at to kind of compare our crime rate to other cities of our similar size, right?
Not our similar
I understand
size
that.
to
Okay.
any city of any size. That's why they created it the way they did. It's based on the 1,000 per.
Okay. So kind of along those same lines of what Rob was asking, how do we compare to other cities of similar size? The Kilgores, the Palestines, do you have that information?
I don't have it
readily
with me.
available?
I can tell you that at the end of March, okay, so this is January 1st to the end of March. Right now, we're at 10.22 Part 1 crimes per 1,000, okay? That's relatively small. I would love it to be in the single digits, but if we could maintain 10 over a course of 12 months, I would be ecstatic.
And that being 1%, correct?
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
maybe it's 10 and we're looking at 1,000, that's right at 1%. So 99% of our people
I can tell you that
behaving.
affected.
metropolitan areas that you would consider a crime area, high crime area, are typically in the high 30s or 40s. Right now we're at 10.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank y'all. You bet. Our next item is citizen participation. This is where we set aside some time to hear concerns from our citizens. It's not a dialogue with the council, but we will take note of what you wanted to talk about. I don't think we got any cards tonight. Okay. All right. Item number 7.
Address anything?
Well, I just wanted to come behind the chief. I don't want to for a clarification, because Cherokee County, we represent the city, and he's responding on the city behalf, because I work for the county, and I think about what the people in our community are responding to is that we've had 2 murders in our county in the last 2 months, and they both have been of juveniles. And so it does, and the child was from Jacksonville, but it happened outside town, outside of the city limits. And so we have people that are freaking out because it looks like crime's coming, because we had 2 murders in less than 2 months. And I don't know what the law enforcement can do about that. The juveniles are having access to guns somehow.
At 18, it's legal to get an AR, but not a
Thank you.
pistol.
So our next item is our consent agenda. You see there, consent agenda requires little or no deliberation by the council. We have 2 tonight, the minutes and a resolution about reviewing the investment strategy and financial policy. So I'll entertain a motion on our consent agenda.
Mayor, I make a motion, we approve the consent agenda.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Mindy Gallup,
Second.
second by Councilman Rob Goen. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. We're gonna move up to item 8, action out of executive session, and move it down to 18, so we'll come back to that one. Item number 9 is to discuss and consider with possible action of variance to allow a boathouse construction 60 feet from the shoreline and at a depth of 5 feet located at 1506 County Road 3102, City of Jacksonville. Mr. James.
Yes, Mayor, City Council, the applicant is here tonight to withdraw this. The lake's plenty high. He no longer needs the variance.
That's true.
He is seeking a variance to build beyond the 50-foot line tonight at 1506 County Road 3107, Lot 13, Block B. This, per the lake rules and regulations, comes directly before City Council. This has not been heard by the Lake Advisory Board. Per the rules and regs and your guidance, if you will, applicants are able to construct out to a distance maximum of 75 feet or up to a depth of 5 feet, whichever comes sooner. It looks like at this particular property, that depth of 5 feet is going to be reached at just about 60 feet from the shoreline. And I did learn, I didn't know this Thursday, but the plan is just to build an extension onto the existing boat dock, so it'll stay in its current alignment and just protrude slightly farther into the water.
It looks like he's gonna add about 15 feet. Yeah,
That's correct.
yeah, on the map. Okay. So you've heard that. I will entertain a motion on that.
I'll make a motion that we approve a variance to allow for a boathouse construction at 60 feet from the shoreline at a depth of 5 feet located at 1506 County Road 3102 in the city of Jacksonville.
We have a motion by Councilman Rob Goen,
Second.
second by Councilwoman Mindy Gallup. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Item number 10 is to discuss and consider with possible action an ordinance regarding on-call tow truck regulation.
Yes, Mayor, City Council, in 2020, you passed an ordinance number 1586 to regulate non-consent towing operations. These are generally for incident management after a vehicle accident or private property tows to clear up any kind of illegal parking operations or even junked vehicles. Our team at the police department did work with a current 3 vendors, that are in our tow rotation list. And there are 4 primary changes as a result of this ordinance, should it be approved tonight. The first would be to change the rotation list from changing daily to weekly. This will accommodate a smoother transition from our dispatch team to our police on patrol, as well as the vendors themselves, who are currently Isaac's Wrecker Service, L&T Towing, and Alliance Towing. The second is to increase the fees that these companies are able to charge, and we'll take a look at that here on the next slide. It's, I would say, a nominal increase as compared to, the 3 years ago that this ordinance was originally adopted. It also removes the limitations on fuel surcharges. Those can now be charged on all non-consent tows at a flat rate of $20 per tow. And it does allow companies to charge that same surcharge now on city tows, meaning if a city vehicle slid off a road or something and needed to have towing service. So the current rates are on the left-hand side of the screen or on the slide if you're using the paper handouts this evening. It's really only 2 categories that are being changed. They both fall in the light or medium-duty tow trucks. For incident management, the change per the ordinance is from $450 to $550. And for tows made pursuant to an arrest, a JPD arrest, that is, from $300 to $400.
Okay. So I'll entertain a motion on that one.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve an ordinance, regarding the on-call tow truck regulation.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Letitia Horace,
I'll second.
second by Councilman Rob Goen. Any discussion needed? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Item number 11 is to discuss and consider with possible action an interlocal agreement with the East Texas Council of Governments for a provision of Go Bus transit services at the Jackson.
Yes, Mayor, City Council, for your consideration is an interlocal agreement with ETCOG to supplement available parking at the Jackson, the city's event center located at Cherokee Ranch Golf Club for large events and those that may conflict with ongoing golf course operations. The term of this, should it be approved, would be from March 2024 to February of 2025. The costs associated with this service would be borne by the clients themselves, and this would just be an optional, non-exclusive service that clients could choose to use to supplement the parking. The parking lot to be used by the vendor and others would be at People's Church. That'd cost $250. And then Go Bus charges an hourly rate of $100. That does apply to their travel time from Kilgore, which is where they're based out of. So that travel time's estimated to cost about $150. So in the example on the slide or the handout, you see a 4-hour event would cost roughly $800 between both the parking lot at People's Church and the Go Bus opportunity.
Okay. You've heard
Okay,
that?
Go Bus is a government entity.
Yeah. We need a motion and a second before we discuss?
Yes.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion and then we'll discuss.
I'll make a motion that we deny this.
Okay, we have a motion to deny it. Is there a second?
Or, I have a motion that we not enter into an interlocal agreement with EDCOG and the Go Bus Transit Services.
Okay, we have a motion to not approve that interlocal agreement. Do I hear a second?
Nope.
Okay, I guess that motion dies for a lack of a second. Now do I entertain another motion, if there's, is such, from any of our council?
I'll make a motion that we approve an interlocal agreement with EDCOG for the Go Bus.
Okay, we have a motion by Letitia Horace
Second.
and a second by Councilwoman Mindy Gallup. Now we can have a discussion.
I have a question. This is just an agreement to provide an option for a
That's
service.
correct.
This is not, we're not entering into a contract or anything
Right. Or-
with EDCOG or anything else.
It's not mandatory.
And it's not mandatory, it's just we're offering a solution, is that correct?
That would be correct. Technically, I guess it would be a contract, and they are providing
Well, yeah, contract,
insurance
that's what
and
I
indemnity
misspoke.
to us
Yeah.
for it, but we're not paying
Right.
anything, and we're not gonna hire them to bring that out. This would be an option for patrons at the Jackson
Right.
to be able to retain their services through the use of this interlocal agreement.
And as I said, it was an optional, non-exclusive
Non-exclusive
thing,
option.
okay,
Right.
all right.
It's
So
my
no-
understanding that private individuals can utilize Go Bus even outside of an ILA being approved, but the rates would be higher. This was just an opportunity to kind of streamline the service for them. Go Bus uses different vehicles. Some of them are white and will provide trips to doctor's appointments and things like that. This is just kind of their upper level tier of that. I think they use it at like the Tyler Air Show and things of that nature.
And I would just rather, as a small business owner and somebody that depends on, revenue for companies like myself, and, I don't know if I ever got an answer. There's a prominent valet company in Tyler. Did we reach out to Paul? What was Paul's pricing? And instead of presenting to people, our customers and clients out there at Go Bus, what can we do rather than supporting another government agency that's already taxpayer funded? What can we do to promote small business and jobs and things like that in my world are a lot more important to me and what I'm doing here?
I can't
So-
speak to Paul, what company
I did-
Paul works for,
yeah.
but we did reach out to RJ's Charter Bus Services, L&T VIP Limo, and Tyler Cab. RJ's was 200 per hour. L&T is between 210 and 240 an hour, depending on the month of the year. And Tyler Cab only operates on weekends, but was 115 an hour.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what type of vehicles they operate.
And my other concern as we move forward at the Jackson is that, I mean, we're putting together these package deals. We're putting together companies that the Jackson staff is associated with. And, I mean, my one example I'll use, and click on the Facebook page, click on their social media, and look at the number of Tyler vendors and out-of-city vendors that are recommended for work out there, and look at how many city vendors, people who are paying taxes inside this city, we're not there. I mean, the private business is not there, and I did not vote. I voted for a civic center. I supported us funding a civic center.
But aren't they incentivized to use local vendors, am I
Yeah.
correct?
I think they get
They get a
2%.
discount.
But if
2.5%
you're not
per-
advertising, I mean, why are we advertising for other companies?
So to
It's
that point,
you're here to rent a building. You're
Right.
here to rent this building.
right, so to
I
that
had a
point,
fellow
Rob,
council
how-
person tell me that she wanted to have her mother's birthday party out there. It was too expensive. I had a commissioner today tell me I wanted to have a baby shower out there. It's too expensive. That's totally off the point of what we're discussing right here. But at some point, we need to have some very serious discussions about the policies and procedures that are going into that, because you've got people like me with 29 years of experience in this business that falls on deaf ears. I mean, I've voted on things periodically. We've been given these little bitty, bits and pieces of information, and as I've seen them come together into one package, it's cumbersome. It
Well, I
doesn't
think-
work.
Didn't we vote on the recommended rental rates out there?
That's
I
correct.
think we did as a council. Yeah. So,
But once the whole package is coming together is where I see, I mean, I don't know. All I can offer is that I've done this for 29 years and nobody else has. I know what I do with other venues. I know what I do with other buildings. And anyway, that's my warning. So I think the people who put the information together and created the little Jackson venue have forgotten that, number one, in my mind, I wanted a civic center. I wanted a place where, clients and people that have used the Norman Center in the past and things, and that type group can go and have a event. We've lost it. It's not there. It's not there. And then here we are, instead of promoting free enterprise and people with businesses and jobs and people and stuff, our choice to make on our first referral is a government agency? No.
but I don't think that'll be a first referral.
Well,
It's the first thing
that's
we're
what I was
just
gonna
about-
ask. So James, how is
This
this
is
gonna
the only-
be, how is this
it's-
gonna be proposed to people
Yeah.
when they're,
I mean, this is the
when
first
they
thing.
call to make a
Why
reservation?
are we voting on it?
When
I
they
mean-
call to make a reservation, and there are several events going on at the Jackson that day.
When
That's
are
when we're
those
saying
gonna
we're gonna
happen?
need
We
some
have
additional
control over
parking.
that.
Yeah.
Right, so
We
I'm
have
just asking,
control.
how is that gonna be presented to the customer, the person who's looking to rent the space? Is it gonna be, we have one option for you? Is it gonna be, there's gonna be a little bit of a parking situation, we can help you handle this, or if you wanna reach out to other businesses, you're welcome to do that? How is it gonna be presented to folks?
I hate to answer that, kind of circumvent your question, but I think it's kind of all of that and above. We're custom tailoring everything. We knew parking was going to be a challenge going into the facility.
But parking's only a challenge if there's a series of events that come together at one time. We have control over that.
We don't have control over the golf course operations and them scheduling UIL tournaments and things of that nature. That's where the struggle comes.
We have that information, and I think that we could certainly, I've used the word, and it's a standard industry term.
Mhm.
I'm fully committed that day. I can't take a client that day.
Yeah, and I think the goal of this was, instead of just turning away the business, to say, if you would choose to use the Jackson that day, you need to find off-site parking. Here's one option. If you'd like to coordinate with another vendor, you're more than welcome. As opposed to just saying, sorry, we can't host you, and no business will benefit from just turning away a booking. But I can't guarantee it works out that way.
Yeah.
I think that was the first goal. People's Church was secured as the off-site parking lot prior to even, I believe, talking to ETCOG. I know there was an event, large-scale event there this weekend, a wedding. They used like a valet type
Valet
service,
parking, yeah.
but I believe they were able to park on site, because I think we're going to run into the parking overlap primarily in the summer, because golfers can golf till about 8:30, almost 9 o'clock, and that's when you're going to have events in the weekend, is in the evenings. In the winter, I don't think we'll have the parking challenge near as often.
Well,
Is there-
my objection is purely to do with a government agency, us.
Making available, that's all we're doing, is making it available
Yeah.
to the public, that's it.
Is there another local transportation? I know you mentioned someone out of Tyler.
I
Is
mean,
there
there's-
someone in Jacksonville that you're familiar with that
No.
Okay.
I mean, you'd see one of these going around town.
Yeah.
I mean, if that were the case, but I just don't want to be a part of, taxpayers, or, using, I don't know.
Sure.
I'm bothered by this whole scenario.
Yeah.
I get it. I get the, what if this happens? I get that, but I just think
We just wanna be prepared
I just wanted,
for an option.
we're gonna go to Texas Department of Corrections next and go, hey, we got a catering job. We'd like to recommend y'all because you can do our catering jobs easier for us.
Any other discussion?
No, I think the only thing I would just add is just, I think it may not be the perfect solution, but rather than having to turn down the business when we really need to promote the venue as much as we can, I think to offer it as an option so that we don't have to turn down that book of business is helpful.
I agree.
We can give it a shot, and it's only for 1 year. If we find that it really isn't working very well, or if another local company pops up that would be better suited, then we can always revisit it.
Sure.
But in this very immediate interim, I think it's better to offer an option than to not offer anything and have to turn down.
I think we do not offer an option in the same way that we don't offer an option on a caterer. We don't offer an option on beer and wine sales. We don't offer an option on renting your linens. We don't offer an option on where you're getting your glassware and tableware for. It's a customer option.
All right.
It's not us doing business with a tax-funded entity. It's just not part. It's not part of the business plan that I foresee out there.
Sure.
Okay.
As a small business owner that gets 100% of my revenue from customers.
Okay, I'll call for a vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Yes.
Motion carries 3-1. Item number 12 is to discuss and consider with possible action awarding RFQ for financial advisory services for the Texas Water Development Board, expansion financing. James.
Mayor, City Council, I've consolidated 12, 13, and 14 into one slide. You will need to make the motions separately.
Okay.
But 12 was request for qualification for financial services, 13 was bond counsel, and 14 was engineering services. These are all related to our desire to procure clean water state revolving fund monies through the Texas Water Development Board for the expansion, basically the doubling of the size and capacity of the Double Creek wastewater treatment plant. We're very hopeful that we'll be invited to the table to have some for loan forgiveness, potentially in excess of 50% of the cost of that project, which is shaping up to be around $12 million. As part of that procurement process and as part of seeking those funds, we are required to go through this. Some of the firms that you'll hear tonight we've done business with in the past, others may be new to you. But you'll see there on the financial services, we did only receive one submittal from our current financial advisor, Hilltop Securities, and that's the staff recommendation. On the bond council, we received 2 submittals from Norton Rose and Jackson Walker. The staff recommendation is for Norton Rose. And on engineering services, we had 4, KSA, AWC, Schaumburg and Polk, and Stokes and Associates, and staff has made the recommendation to move forward with Stokes and Associates. I'll say that members of our finance team, our public works team, to include the plant operators and myself, played a role in assessing the different RFQs that were received.
Okay. So we'll need to take these one at a time, so I'll entertain a motion on the first one, awarding the RFQ for financial advisory services. And you see, look, we just had one that, so I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I make a motion, we award the RFQ for financial advisory services for the Texas Water Development Board wastewater treatment plant.
To who?
To Hilltop.
All right, we have a motion by Councilwoman, Mindy Gallup. Got me screwed up.
That's all topsy-turvy.
Yeah.
I second the motion.
Second by Councilwoman, Letitia Horace. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries to Hilltop. I guess the next one is to discuss and consider with possible action awarding the RFQ for bond counsel services for the Texas Water Development Board expansion financing. I think we've heard James's recommendation from staff, so I'll entertain a motion on that one.
Mayor, I make a motion that we accept staff or approve staff's recommendation for Norton Rose as the bond counsel,
Yes.
company for the RFQ for bond counsel.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilwoman Letitia Horace. I'll second that motion by Mayor Randy Gorham. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. And then, our third one is to discuss and consider with possible action awarding the RFQ for engineering services for the Texas Water Development Board expansion financing. I'll entertain a motion for that one.
I'll make the motion that we award the contract to Stokes and Associates
Okay.
for the demolition of
Engineering services.
engineering services.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Rob Goen,
Second.
second by Councilwoman Letitia Horace. Any discussion on those? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Let's see here. Item number 15, discuss and consider with possible action awarding a contract for the demolition of substandard structures.
Yes, Mayor, City Council, the city solicited sealed bids for demolition of multiple structures, recently issued demolition orders by the City Zoning Board of Adjustment in early March. 8 contractors did submit bids to this, and after review and scoring based on cost, references, and past experiences, staff is recommending award of groups 1, 2, and 3, which is for 14 structures, to the lowest bidders, CKC Rock and Land Services, in an amount of $70,850. And we expect the removal of the 14 structures to be complete prior to July. Of course, rainy season and things like that we're in can slow things occasionally, but we feel comfortable with that timeline. You see the 14 properties on the right-hand side of the screen. We did receive sealed bids for a couple additional properties that we're still assessing and have some due diligence to do via the property ownership and asbestos and things like that we plan to bring forward to council at a later date. One property was a kind of boathouse shed structure over the water of Lake Jacksonville. We're gonna bid that one out independently of a group like this, just because it kind of takes special tools and equipment to work over the water. Another was the former Alberta School on Martin Luther King Jr. Road, and one other is still in kind of the curing period for the demolition order, so we're waiting to see how the property shapes up within the next 60 days.
Okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we award a contract to CKC Rock and Land Services for demolition of substandard structures.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Rob Goen,
Second.
second by Councilwoman Letitia Horace. Any discussion? That comes out about $5,000 a piece, which is about what we've been paying, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we're really close, and we were really pleased to see 8 come out. Pretty fair spread between them. You know, there were probably 3 or 4 contractors hungry, and this is what they do.
Yeah.
And then there were a couple others that were probably a little further out of line with what we've traditionally seen from a pricing standpoint.
Sure.
James, is that 70,850, is that a firm number, or is there room for it to go up? I mean, if they get out there and it's more than what they thought, or?
I mean,
if
generally,
it's
we
less
write
than what
we
they
write the
thought?
spikes pretty tight. If there was like a home where maybe we thought it was pier and beam, but there's a slab or something, you know, if we missed the mark on something, we'd work with them. Or if there's a little something extra that we didn't spec, but we should be very, very close to that number.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. That brings us to item number 16, open forum for mayor and council. Anybody have anything they want to talk about?
I think we have a birthday in the house.
Okay. Gene
Gene?
Keenan?
Did you turn 65 today?
Yesterday.
Yesterday?
Holiday.
Happy late,
It's a
happy,
holiday.
happy late birthday. The joy of social media.
Hey, welcome to the club.
Yeah.
Hey, Republic ran trash at least, unlike.
Hey, yeah, Republic ran trash, unlike some other towns around here that canceled it on the eclipse day, so we appreciate that.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, absolutely. You bet. And I just, open forum for mayor, I'd like to, appreciate the lively discussion we had, and I appreciate, Rob, you
thank you.
giving your opinion. I think that's valuable, that we've got that ability to have a great discussion, but still walk away as friends, and I
No,
appreciate
no.
it. I appreciate it.
Trying to share what I'm finding going
Sure.
on out there.
You bet.
It's not
Anybody else
enjoyable.
have anything to talk about?
No?
All right, city manager?
Yeah, just a couple things to note. You should be receiving, if you get any form of paper utility bill from us, whether that's a statement or the bill itself, in the mail shortly here. This month, you'll be getting this flyer. It's obviously going to be the same size on both sides when you get it in the mail, but on one side you see some of our most common code violations or code compliance issues throughout town, and on the back side you see things like what is a violation, what is a citation, how do I resolve it, how do I report them effectively, what types of improvements on my property require permits, and then how's the city here to help. So we do have some opportunities to help folks. It's both in English and Spanish, so be on the lookout for that. We'll be making some electronic distributions as well via Facebook, but we thought that this was a worthwhile effort to put it in nearly 5,000 utility bills. Hopefully helping our code enforcement officers get ahead of the curve. I think it'll definitely generate some reporting as well too, and that's fine. That's what we're here for. Bulky drop-off is this weekend. Don't miss your opportunity. If you live inside the city limits and you show your water bill, residential accounts only, non-commercial, you have the opportunity to bring a whole bunch of junk out to the John Alexander Gym at 821 Farnsworth Street here in Jacksonville from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. Some of those harder to dispose of items like car batteries, electronics, motor oil, and up to 5 residential sized tires will be accepted in addition to scrap metal. So very well organized event. We've really seen some enhancements in how that's run the last couple of years. And also we get some money from ETCOG to help offset the cost of operating this event as well. But this Saturday, April 13th, and pretty self-explanatory when you get out there, but take a look at the Facebook and get additional information ahead of time. With the winds and the weather we've had, want to call everybody's attention. This program's not necessarily new anymore, but it's still free, and that's the yard waste pickup on the 2nd and 4th Wednesdays of every month. You do need to make your appointment the Monday prior to that Wednesday, and so that way generally you're working in your yard over the weekend. On Monday you call us about what you have at the curb, and that Wednesday we'll pick it up. We do ask that some of the limbs be cut to a length of about 4 feet and no more than 10 bags of leaves, and we ask that household trash not be mixed in with this, so we dispose of them in separate manners. So that's really, really important. The lake is currently closed due to high water and the inundated with rain and runoff today. So closed to boating traffic for floating debris in the lake, as well as all the surrounding and adjacent property owners. And then lastly, just a couple things. We did host, I'm not going to say it was our first annual, I'm sure we've done it in the past, but in the recent past I'm not sure that we had hosted an Easter egg hunt. We did host one of those successfully in Buckner Park, and it took about 2 minutes and 45 seconds for 8,000 eggs to get picked up. So, you know,
Maybe
I
we
don't
should
know.
put them on trash patrol. We're on Easter egg trash patrol.
Right. So, great event, but it did not last long. So you got to be on time. I saw a few kids getting there late, and it was, if you were late, you were late.
If you were late, you missed it.
Yes, he did. And then the trail at Lincoln Park's coming along phenomenally. We've had some really heavy bouts of rain since they've started, but they're still, I would say, ahead of schedule even in light of the rains. Of course, we'll have a lot of cleanup and things to accomplish, but the trail should be usable here probably in the next week to 2 weeks in terms of just walking on it, and we'll still be conducting different cleanup efforts. And then parlaying its success right into our TPWD grant project to bring another $300,000 of investment to the park here over the next probably 6 to 18 months as we get through that planning process. So that's really great to see.
It is.
Yeah,
That's
I
all.
just
That's
want to
all.
add, the trail looks amazing. I mean, I've been blown away every time I go out there, just how, I mean, honestly, just how pretty it looks.
Yeah.
It really is just enhanced the park already, just with the trail out there. And then I also just want to add, I met with James and Renissa at the end of February. Being in District 1, I have a lot of conversations with folks about animal control and code enforcement. And so I'm just really excited and just appreciate everything staff is doing and just bring that to the forefront. I know it's a big animal to try to attack. I know it's a lot. I know it's a lot of moving pieces. But I just appreciate you guys just making it a priority and just making those of us in District 1 feel heard, helping us to feel heard and making it a priority for us to take a look into. So I think that informational piece that's going out in the mail looks great, and I hope it really catches people's attention and people will take that information and share it with, with their neighbors and give them a little nudge to, maybe clean things up a little bit and remind them about the cleanup that's coming up here in a few weeks, or this weekend actually. So, yeah, I just wanted to say I appreciate staff for doing that, and hopefully we can kind of keep that momentum going.
Sure.
Very good. So we are gonna scoot our executive session down to item number 18, and we will go back into executive session, city council conference room for Open Meetings Act per Government Council, Government Code Section 551.071. Consult with our city attorney. 551.072, real property. 551.074, personnel matters, our city attorney evaluation. And 551.087, deliberations regarding economic development negotiations. If there's any action to be had after our executive session, we will come back. I guess we'll come back in here anyway.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
dismiss. So we will convene to executive session. Thank you for coming. Thanks for coming, Gene.
Good to see you,
Appreciate
Gene.
it.